Hey everyone, welcome back to the final battle in our Unity 6 platformer series tutorial. In this video we're going to finish things off strong by giving our boss a death effect, well, reusing the death effect from the enemies but applying it to our boss, adding a win scene and a game over scene. Depending on what happens, if the player wins they'll go to the next level or a victory screen. If they lose all their health, then they'll see a proper game over. So, let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just make our scenes. What I'm going to do is, because there's not really a lot of like dark and dreary scenes for the game over that I could have designed, or bright and flashy scenes that I could have used for like celebratory, we're going to just kind of reuse some assets that we are already using. So let's go to scenes and open up our title screen. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to save this. So go to File, Save As, and go to our scenes. First thing we're going to do is our game over. So we'll do our game over scene. And we'll just call it game over. That's fine. Why? Strange. File, save as, scenes. It says there's a game over screen, but there's not. So we'll just do the win scene for now then. Win scene. And then with that, we're gonna go ahead and it might be residual from when I was testing things out. What we're gonna do is so with this we're gonna go ahead and delete the options button. We won't need that. We can change the text in our Text Mesh Pro GUI. We're gonna say congratulations, you won. All right. Right there. I will say this, that there are some people that like to do things with the UI when they're doing like little victory things and game over things. I don't. For me, it just makes it more organized for me to separate it all out. So that's why I don't do that. If you are one of those people that like to do it in the UI, then go ahead and do it in the UI in your levels. By all means, this is not the only way to do this. What I do want to do though is, because this is kind of like plain and boring, I'm going to change some things. I'm going to change the text, but I'm going to change it through a script. So in our scripts folder, go to create mono behavior script. We're going to name this text color cycler. And let's go ahead and open that up once it's done compiling the base text. And we're going to type a few things in there. What we're going to type is, we need it to be using TMP, so using TM Pro. We're going to add a few variables. We're going to have public text mesh pro oh, I didn't even spell it right. Text mesh pro UGUI. We're going to name this text public color colors public float switch interval equals 0.5f. We're going to say private integer current index is equal to 0. And we're going to say the private float timer is equal to 0. Alright. I apparently don't know how to spell private. Let's try this again. There we go. Alright, so I didn't put a header here. I know I tend to put headers, but these are all related to the same thing. They're not really doing anything different. They all tie together. So that's why I didn't put anything there. In our start function though, we're gonna have a few checks. We're gonna say text equals get component text mesh pro UGUI. We're also gonna say if the colors dot length is greater than 0, then we're gonna set the text color equal to colors 0, which is gonna be the first element in that color color scheme. There we go, words. All right. Now what we're gonna do in here is timer plus equals time dot delta time. We're gonna say if the timer is greater than or equal to 0. No, switch timer, switch interval. That's what we want, not 0. We did 0 up above. All right, then we're gonna set the timer to 0, and current index is gonna be equal to the current index plus 1, and we're gonna take the leftovers of the current dot length and pass that through, and then text dot color is gonna be equal to the colors current index. All right. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and save that. Go back to our text, let this compile. We're gonna go ahead and drag this onto it. I really don't need this open now, or that, or sorry, we do need that. We need this. All right, we need to drag our text mesh component into the text spot. We're gonna open up some colors here. Whoops. I'm gonna do 5 because the initial color is gonna be this one. Then we're gonna change it to red. Oh, always make sure that your alpha's up too. If you notice, the alpha is set to 0 by default through this code. So make sure you set the alpha value all the way up. There we go, purple. Let's see, what's another color? We'll go blue. Yeah, blue. We already got a lot of green in there, so blue. And then last but not least, we're gonna go some orange in there. There we go. All right, so what we're gonna do from here is we're just gonna hit play. And there you go. See, now it's a little bit more. Let me turn that down. That's probably blowing your guys' ears out. I apologize. But see, now it's a little more celebratory. It's flashing the colors. Very simple. Alright, now that we got that going, let's see, we're at 8.5 minutes. I'm going to try to do all this in one video without breaking it up. Let's just go ahead and try getting that game over screen working again to save. Let's see. We need to save a new scene. Alright, this time there's no game over. I see no game over. So let's go here, game over. Save. Yay, it worked. Alright. So, first things first. I'm going to change out the background. Image, or let's see. You could do that. Just change the color for this, or you can change out the background image. The closest thing to any sort of like depressing thing that I've seen is this graveyard, this ship graveyard, but it doesn't really work because I haven't put any water levels in here. So what you can do is just, you know, change it to more of a red color, right? And that'll actually fit with what we're gonna do with the text. So I downloaded a text font from fontspace.com. And so the font that I downloaded is actually right here. I've already converted it, but I'm going to delete this and show you how to convert it. That way you can reuse these fonts with your Text Mesh Pros. So what you're going to do is you're going to drag your font into Unity, and you're going to go up to Window. We're going to go to Text Mesh Pro, not Text. If you go to Text and you do the font asset creator, from my experience, it turns it into like a shader script, and it won't work with Text Mesh Pro. So go to Text Mesh Pro, go to Font Asset Creator. All right, and you're gonna click on this little circle here. You'll see I already have it selected, right? But typically it'll look something like that. It'll say none. So click on your font that you want. If you want to mess with the size of the settings, you can. For me, I just look at whatever Unity has set to it, and it seems like it's the best practice to work. So I'm going to change my padding to 9 in this instance, and I'm going to leave everything else the same. I'm going to press Generate Font Atlas, and I'm not sure why it went to my code, but okay. And then I'm going to press Save, and I'm just going to save it right here in the Resources, Fonts, and Materials folder. For this to work, it has to be saved in a Resources folder. And since it already has a Fonts and Materials folder, it just makes sense to put it in there. So press Save. And once you see this giant F here, then that means it works. However, for it to work, did I just close the project? No, I didn't. Okay, good. Whew, I got scared. I thought I closed the project. All right. For it to work, you're going to need to delete the old text and add in a new Text Mesh Pro asset. We'll go ahead and just drag it up here, and I'm going to take this font that we've just created and drop it in here, and you'll see now it changes. We're going to say, too bad you had a nice life, baby. All right. Let's go ahead and drag this out. Let's center it because it looks really sloppy like that. And something about like that. If you wanted to, you can add a new audio clip to it by just adding it here to the audio manager and then telling it what clip to play. But on this scene, you have to create a just like we did before, tell it what clip to play. Aside from that, let's see here. You know what I'm gonna do? Just because this is different, we're gonna say retry. I'm not gonna change it through code to go from the level that we just died at. Because we didn't really do a whole lot of saving, and we didn't do any sort of level maps or anything to like go to like a new level on the screen. So I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to change it to retry, which will restart the game from the first level. And it should still be connected, and it is. And that reminds me, let's go back to our win scene, and we're going to say here, play again. There we go, and save that. All right. Now that we got those two going, we're at 14 minutes, so we got plenty of time. Let's go to level 2 and start connecting everything together, shall we? All right, so let's click on our player, and we're gonna go to our player health. Player controller, I believe is where it's at. No, it's not. It's in health manager. That's what we want. In our health manager, we're going to create a few things. First, let's go ahead and right here above our update health UI, we're going to create an IE numerator. We're going to call it load game over we're gonna say yield return new, wait 4 seconds. We'll make it 2 seconds. And then we're gonna say SceneManager dot load scene. We're just gonna say game over. Now for this, you're gonna want to make sure that you are spelling it the exact same way as you did in for the name of your scene. And right above it in this take damage, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say inside of take damage, inside of this health is less than or equal to 0. Start coroutine, and it's gonna be called load game over. We're gonna let all that compile. We're gonna press play. I'm gonna run over here and try to die. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so it works, but I did see a small glitch. It tried to respawn, and that's because we still have that respawn logic in our player controller. So I think all we should have to do is just comment out this guy right there. So we're gonna test that out real quick. We're still good on time, so there we go. Yeah, so now that works perfectly well. All right. So now that that works, if you want, you can go ahead and delete the respawn. You could save it so you could do it later. If you wanted to do like a continue from the scene, then you could tie those together. But everything right there is working out. Now we need to get the windscreen going and the death effect, which shouldn't be too much more difficult. Alright, so for our death effect, we're going to reuse this guy right here. And as I'm looking at it, I noticed that we're missing a script. And so it looks like we need to create it, because for some reason I didn't. We're going to create it. So right click in your scripts folder. We're going to name this destroy over time. Let it compile. And we're just going to drag that over here and open it up by double clicking on it. What we're going to do is we're going to say public float lifetime equals, we're going to say 1F. We don't need it to last any longer than that. We're just going to say destroy game object, comma, lifetime. So now we got that set up, and the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is add it to our dragon boss. So go ahead and click on boss health in your dragon boss script. Let's add just realized I didn't add headers to these. Ooh, how terrible of me. Alright, header. We're gonna say, what do I want to name this? We'll say boss health. That's what we'll name that one. We're gonna say, and actually that'll go with it. We're gonna say here write info. And actually this active is going to go in that one as well. So we're just going to throw that in there. There we go. Alright, now we're good. We're going to say, we'll put this public game object death effect, just like so. And then down here in our die function, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to enable the win scene, which we haven't set up that coroutine yet, but we will. We're also going to say instantiate death effect transform dot position, and then pass the rotation as a quaternion identity. There we go. Save that. Now we need to create an IE numerator, but we're gonna go ahead and say start coroutine because we're gonna call this load win. And it's throwing an error because we haven't created that IE numerator, so let's do that now. Private IE numerator load win, and we're gonna say yield return new wait 4 seconds to F. And we're gonna say SceneManager load scene. So same thing, make sure it's spelled the exact same way that you spelled it. Alright, now all that should work, but there's something we gotta do first in the build settings. We're gonna go over here to our, after it compiles, we're gonna go to file, build profiles. And in our build profiles, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our scenes from the scenes folder, and we're just going to drag them in here like so. Now let's test it out. There we go. Alright, so that works. The quick game on the button works. The retry, that takes me back to the beginning. Well, I gotta fix that because he's popping up in the middle level because that's where I have him at in that scene. But that's not that serious. Alright, now let's go ahead and let's see here. I've already switched it to 2 apparently for testing, so apparently I was pre-gaming the test. But I did notice that I haven't put the death effect in there. So let's go to our prefabs, drop that death effect in there. One, 2. And there's death effect, and there we go. Quit works on there. Play again, takes me back to the first level. We're good. Alright, so in this video we've gone ahead and created a win scene, a game over scene, and added the death effect and got everything tied together. I showed you guys a little bit how to mess around with the TextMesh Pro font asset creator. But in the next video, the last video, the final showdown, all we're going to do is build the game. It'll be short, sweet, and simple. If you have any questions, as usual, go ahead and email me. The email is in the channel profile description. So, but it's adaptedlab@gmail.com. As always, keep learning, keep building. I'll see you in the next video.